I wonder what rollicking adventures I'll stumble into. A mud puddle. Do I dare live out the cliché?
Gucket! Wow!
I'm a pig. Oink oink, right?
Free meal!
No, don't eat me. I'm a man trapped in a pig's body.
That's what they all say!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pining for the Falls, the podcast where everybody's just switching bodies. All the time. I'm Fire Princess Lily, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Dr. Sea Monster. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Cool. A little differently this episode, I'd like to open us up with a quote from Alex K. Hirsch himself, if that's fine with you.
It is not, but go ahead.
All right. This actually was just, he just posted this a couple days ago. It says, back when I made Gravity Falls, Disney forbade me from any explicit LGBTQ plus rep. Apparently, the happiest place on Earth meant the straightest. But as of today, thanks to Dana Terrace and team, there are explicitly queer animated main characters on Disney TV, and I'm so proud and happy to say that. In 2012, a censor note on this image would have been, and the images of two female characters dancing, inappropriate for the channel. Please revised, call to discuss to avoid a paper trail. Now in 2020, there's no note at all. Props where props are due. This time, Disney, you did good. And that is about the latest animated property for Disney, Owl House, which did have Disney's actual first on-TV queer representation. Like, you can talk about all the movies they want, and, like, the background characters that are quote-unquote gay, but this is, like, two characters explicitly queer on TV.
What is Owl House? Do you watch Owl House?
Yes, I do.
What is it about?
Okay, so Owl House is about a girl named Luce, who's, like, super into, like, magic and, like, adventure and stuff. And her mom's like, wow, you're a little weirdo. I'm going to send you to summer camp. And on the way to summer camp, she accidentally goes to a magical island known as the Boiling Isles. And it is a terrifying place, but it does have actual real magic. And so she wants to learn magic. Well, that's basically the crux of the show.
Neat.
Yeah. Alex does a voice for one of the characters. It's his Bill Cipher voice. But it's for, like, a really cute character named King, who's supposed to be the king of demons, but he's just like a little fuzzball. It's great. Very cute.
Cool.
But yeah. Also, there's, mysteries and stuff. So anyway, now that we finished that quote, what have you been up to since we last recorded this podcast?
Not too much. Whenever I finish a big writing project, I tend to take it easy for like a week or two, and I'm kind of getting near the end of that.
Gotcha.
I'm starting to get to the point where I feel like doing stuff again. Been doing some cooking, visiting friends and cooking at their houses, which has been pretty nice. It's some other stuff. I watched the first episode of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh, how was that?
It's not bad. I don't really know how I feel about it after the first episode. But like I don't dislike it, and I kind of want to see more episodes, but I want to see more episodes so like I can get a better idea of what they're doing with the series, less than I want to see more episodes than just because I like this and I want more. I want to see more of it, but I'm not like excited to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I want to see what they're going to do with the series, but I'm not really hooked yet.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's just.
How about yourself?
I think it's just a random weird show.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's trying to be.
It's not 100% random. Like there's clearly like an internal logic to it, and it's playing off of Star Trek tropes.
Right.
So like it makes sense as a Star Trek show.
Speaking of Star Trek, William Shatner lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, William Shatner's kind of a shithead.
I mean, apparently he's been that way for quite a while.
Yeah,
He apparently is the only member of the original Star Trek cast who was not invited to Leonard Nimoy's funeral.
oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because I went looking for it because somebody said it, and I was like, that can't possibly be true. But he talks about it a little bit in an interview. He's like, yeah, towards the end of Leonard's life, we just really weren't friends anymore, and I'll never know why. Probably because you were an asshole, my guy.
Yeah,
Haha.
I never really watched TOS, so I don't have an attachment to Captain Kirk, but like,
Me neither. I mean, I have more of an attachment to the Next Generation crew, to be honest.
yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, I like Spock.
yeah. Everyone likes Spock.
Everybody likes Spock. Gosh. The only thing with William Shatner that I've seen recently was an episode of Cutthroat Kitchen, and it was the worst one.
Mm.
Well, do you know what Cutthroat Kitchen is?
I do.
Okay. So it was the Man Cave episode, and he was the judge because apparently William Shatner exudes manliness. Anyway, and basically the worst contestant who said things, who said unironically to another contestant, "You can't be a man if you don't have a beard." He let that guy win, even though his food was shit and he used sriracha and everything. Not that there's anything wrong with sriracha. It's just like you're using it for every dish, man. That's like have some variety in your life. You're on a cooking show with every seasoning available to you that you could want, and you're just like slumming it up with sriracha. Once again, I don't have a problem with sriracha. It's just it's not a personality.
Yeah, that is an accurate way to sum up my feelings on Sriracha. It is not a personality.
The guy was terrible. His food looked like dookie, but because he like verbally jerked William Shatner off, he won. Absolutely. Anyway, what have I been up to other than just being like disgusted with William Shatner?
You want to talk about wrestling?
I mean, I can. Chris Jericho, who is not just a wrestler, he has a band called Fozzy. They're pretty good. But they decided to do some live concert events, which not good. in the era of the world ending, not good. Especially since he has a rematch this week with Orange Cassidy on a non-taped episode of Dynamite. It's not not great. Pictures of one of the venues appeared out. I mean, he's on a stage, the fans are not on the stage, but nobody's like wearing masks in the audience is what it looks like. They've apparently been given masks and had their temperatures checked, but nobody's like, wearing them or practicing the social distance guidelines of like, keep a little bit apart, even though the venue's only at half capacity to be safe. Like people are like, oh man, less people here, so that means we can all get closer to the stage. No. Hate humans.
Let's be honest. Only America is fucking up that bad.
I know that only America is fucking up that bad. It's extra frustrating to know that.
Yeah.
The second round of the Deadly Draw is this week. I'll watch that after we do this because it's going on like right now, but we're doing this. So we will see how that goes. Hopefully it is good. I really wish women were going to be given more time on TV, but this is what we have to apparently put up with. and I do mean put up with, because Brandy Rhodes said that she had to fight tooth and nail for this tournament, and they almost didn't let her do it. So, really sucks. Dude. Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho should be really good if they have it. I mean, if I were Tony Khan, and I'm not, obviously, because if I were, there'd be more women matches on TV. But if I were, I would hold off on it because of, like, live performances. One of them being at Sturgis Bike Rally. No.
Yeah.
I understand maybe you had obligations, like, before COVID hit, where you had all these tour dates or whatever, and these were ones that you just couldn't get canceled. Don't show up. And it's not like Fozzy, which is Chris Jericho's band, is like you know, on the lower rungs of like stardom or anything. They like headline like major music events. They have world tours. So it's not like, oh, we're starving artists and we need the money. No, you're good. You didn't need to do this. So yeah. It just sucks, because it definitely places other people into danger. So that's not good. Other things that happen in wrestling. Sammy Guevara is in trouble again. This time not for saying something absolutely horrendous. Thank goodness. This time for throwing the wrong chair. He had a segment with Matt Hardy, and it ended with a chair shot and doing like a crazy flip onto Matt Hardy from the stage through a table. The problem is he was supposed to use a specific chair, like a gimmick chair, so it wouldn't do too much damage. He couldn't find that chair, and rather than just not do the spot, he picked up a non-gimmick chair and he like flung it full force, kind of legs first, at Matt Hardy's face, and cracked his skull open.
What, seriously?
Yeah, like seriously.
Jesus.
Matt Hardy needed 13 stitches. Now, everybody's telling me it's a shoot. Everybody's telling me it's a work. For those of you who don't know, work means, it's a part of the plan. What I mean by that, the chair thing, not a work. That was an accident. But Matt Hardy is now like, I want Sammy out of wrestling. He's super dangerous, etc. Everybody's telling me that that's at work, and I'm sure it kind of is. But the amount of like emotion and force that Matt is placing behind his words, I'm like, dang, this kind of feels like a shoot. He's not speaking in character anymore. It just feels like he's just like, man, this dude like busted open my fucking head, and I would like him gone. Which you kind of can't blame him, more or less, I guess, when you think about it. He had a full chair, like a full heavy-ass steel chair, thrown at his head, legs first. And if he hadn't got his arms up, like in the nick of time, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, everybody says it's a work. I'm sure it's a work. Especially, there's also times where he's like, when Matt's talking, he's letting a bit of that like broken cadence slip through. Recently, he announced that he was just going to be focused on just being Matt Hardy while there were no crowds in attendance in wrestling. And he's going to shelve the broken gimmick for a bit. But when he talks sometimes, it's like he lets it slip through. So I'm thinking that's a part of the story too, more or less. Other things happening in wrestling, Britt Baker is going to have a match with Big Swole at All Out. And we've known about it since May, since the end of May. And I'm tired of hearing about it. And I will hear about it again this week on Dynamite, because the only woman that they give like regular time to is Britt Baker, even though she's injured and can't wrestle. Which is another thing I really wish people would stop like hyping up this match, because one, it's Britt Baker. She had one really great match with Hikaru Shida, who's the women's world champion right now and has never had a bad match ever. She's had some okay matches, but Shida makes her opponents look like really, like just real good. Like she knows what she's doing in the ring. Britt's a little green. Swole's not exactly green, but she's had some bad matches. So, I mean, you're placing a lot of faith in Britt Baker to have, like, this amazing match that you've hyped up since May. We're going to have, like, 4 months of hype on this thing. And she wasn't that great a wrestler to start with. She's going to have all kinds of ring rust because she got seriously injured. Like, she tore some ligaments in her legs, broke her tibia. Like, it's a serious injury, and they're gonna have her back up and going by September, even though one of those injuries says, like, you know, even with surgery you're looking at like 6 months of like physical therapy. So I don't know that you know, you should place a lot of this much faith in this match, because you've hyped it up way too much on somebody who isn't stellar at wrestling, and she's been injured all this time. Like, I feel like you've set that match up to fail on a pay-per-view. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Oh, Rise of the Rise of the Team, the latest incarnation of the Ninja Turtles, that's over. It only got 2 seasons, which is an absolute shame. It should have gotten more.
There seems to be a rising movement to get it onto Netflix or some such.
I mean, I would hope, because it would do better there. Apparently for the series finale, they gave them like 6 weeks to do 4 episodes, which is not good. Let me see if I can find what they said. I might be just saying that wrong. This isn't important to what we're doing, but now that I've said it, I've gotta say it. I gotta make sure I, you know, giving the correct information. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 6 weeks. 6 weeks to write and animate the final 4 episodes. That comes from the showrunner. That is just an almost impossible task. Just the way animation works, and the level that they obtained on those last 4 episodes is incredible. It's like the final fight in that show is like the way Gurren Lagann's final fight was. Like, it's on that level of just artistry and insanity, and the fact that they did that in 6 weeks is crazy. So they deserve better. I think that's really all I have to talk about. I've wasted time looking for things. So do you want to talk about Gravity Falls?
I would love to.
All right. This week we watched season 1, episode 16, Carpe Diem. Now that's not a mispronunciation. That is the title. A play on Carpe Diem. We open on an eyeball being shot into a glass. It's like just a plastic eyeball. But the twins are playing mini golf. They've set up a course in their own room. They're using plastic eyeballs as golf balls. And Mabel's made a hole in whatever, and she's screaming that she has now total domination. She's like, I'm the master of attic stuff mini golf. And it's okay. It's not like bad. They got their own little Eiffel Tower. They have a fan that is just near some pictures of like mountains and such. The whole setup's weird. There's like a can hanging from the wall, a coffee cup on top of like the table, which I think is just a part of that fan bit. A skull, a diver's helmet, a crocodile head, or I guess it's an alligator. Probably it looks like an alligator. It's an interesting setup. But I don't know how long they took to set up because they're gonna abandon it real quick. Yeah, but yeah, the fan thing's supposed to be the Mighty Swiss Alps. She's like, from the Mighty Swiss Alps to the whole of Dipper's unwashed laundry, where men fears to tread. And Dipper's like, all right, let me give this a shot. And so he hits the ball, and it is bouncing all over the place until it eventually breaks through the window. It breaks through the window, and it hits Stan. And Stan's like, oh, my head! It hit me right in the head! And Dipper's like, yeah, Stan shot! That's legal, right? They turned to Waddles, who was wearing a top hat, because apparently that makes him the judge of this event. And he's just eating the scorecard. To which Mable says, the judges say it's out of bounds. And he's like, well, you're out of bounds. And he playfully jabs her with his putter. This is just some good sibling banter. Twin quips. As they go kind of back and forth, ribbing each other with these putters. These putters. I don't know why I'm saying all that. But an alarm goes off. It's meow o'clock, baby. And Mabel's like, hey, Dipper, I gotta go hang out with Candy and Grinda tonight. This was real fun. And he's like, you can't leave mid-game. And she's like, I'm not leaving. They're coming here. As which Dipper starts noticing things around the room. He's like, oh, wait. Sleeping bags? You have rom-coms? Calling All Boys Preteen Edition, which is a board game, which is, this is a spoof on an actual 90s game.
Yeah, it's like Dream Date Phone or something.
Yeah. See if I can find it. Wow, it's actually not listed in the trivia, which is
Dream
weird.
Phone.
Dream Phone. That's it. Which I weirdly wanted as a kid. That's a whole kettle of fish. Anyway, Dipper's like, oh no, you're not having a... And that's when Candy and Grinda burst in. They shout, sleepover! Which Dipper starts screaming about as lightning flashes. He does not want this. This is a classic, oh no, I have a sister and she has friends and they're going to have a sleepover episode. So...
I want to say that, like, I think a lot of some of the jokes in this episode don't really hit because they're definitely aimed at a younger age group.
Um,
I'm not saying that justifies them as being good jokes. I'm just saying, like, this, like, there's definitely episodes that are aimed at like 12-year-olds in this episode, you know.
I mean, I guess I feel like with the references, it's aimed at a nostalgic audience. But...
Well, the show's definitely. This is a thing that shows started doing about 10 years ago, is aiming for like the broadest audience they can. Like,
true.
There's the nostalgia angle. There's like the slightly adult jokes. There's like stuff for kids. It's a shotgun approach to audience. The first, well, actually, I'm not going to go into this too much right now because we're still doing the recap. Please continue the recap.
All right, so we cut back in from the title sequence to the totem pole outside, and Mabel's voice saying, "Okay, so how much do you like boys?" To which Grinda says, "So much," and Candy says, "Boys make me think about kissing," and they all kind of laugh. Well, Grinda wangs a pillow at Candy's head really hard because she's like, "Oh, you're so bad." Mabel's like, we're going to be so crazy tonight. And they start shrieking and pounding on the floor. Dipper's like, I can't sleep through this. This is terrible. Grinda's like, who wants to smear makeup on my face? To which Mabel says, but you're already so beautiful, Grinda. What would be the point? Grinda starts pounding on the ground, shouting beautiful. Dipper's had enough. He's like, could you go do this somewhere else, please? You're laughing in frequencies that only dogs can hear. And I'm trying to get some sleep. This isn't cool. We share a room. And Mabel's like, it's not that bad. Come on. And Grinda's like, you know what your brother needs? And Mabel's like, a makeover? To which Candy just pulls up a bunch of makeup. We hear Dipper scream, and he exits out of the room. He runs into Zeus in the hallway. He was like, hey, could I sleep in your break room, please? And Zeus is like, oh, yeah, of course, dude. So which he opens the door to reveal just the worst crawl space you've ever seen.
It's not even a crawl space. It's like an electric closet.
I mean, it barely counts as that. Honestly, it's just like it's a bunch of pipes and a hazard sign warning you of electrical danger, and it's just like you just gotta make your body like a video game puzzle. And then he starts beeping, and he like jams himself in there, and he sits down in a real awkward position. He's like, the trick is to hold still. And he slowly lowers his armor, and it's hitting a hot pipe. He's like, oh, wait, ow. And he just keeps burning himself. And Dipper's like, I'm going to find somewhere else to sleep. Dipper heads outside. He's like, sleeping under the stars. Not bad. He tries to get comfortable, and that's when he hears a wolf, or a dog, really. He looks around, looks down, and there is a wolf just chewing on his leg. Just like, viciously. He's like, get away. And then he looks up to see that Mable and Co are still like screaming and having a good time, doing party stuff. And he defiantly crosses his arms and says, you know what? This is better. We cut to the morning. Mable is waking up with a DVD cover over her face of several times.
Yes, the DVD case several times. Which will feature in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, absolutely. She has "Party Girl" written over her head, on her forehead, and she's waking up like somebody who was been out drinking all night. She's like, "Oh, what happened?"
Been hitting the Mable just kind of hard.
They hit the Mable just real hard. She's looking around. The room is totally destroyed. There's a goat. There's a goat in the room. And Candy's actually duct taped to the ceiling. She's like, what's up, party girl? Grinda walks out of the closet. She's like, I was kissing something in there, and I don't know what it was, but I have no regrets. Candy times her fall down perfectly. And Mabel's like, that was awesome. See y'all again real soon. And they leave. Dipper walks in. She's like, hey, you want any of this leftover pizza? It's got glitter on it. And Dipper's like, Mabel, last night an owl tried to eat my tongue. Mabel's not sympathetic. She's like, oh, that's awesome. And he's like, no, it's not. It's like, this is impossible to live with. He gestures to the room broadly, which is a disaster. And Mabel's like, what? I'm delightful to live with. Get ready to be poked by the fun stick. And she pokes him with the stick once. And he smacks it out of her head. He's like, I've had it with the fun stick. You've totally wrecked our room. And, oh no, our mini golf course. And she's like, yeah, Grinda loves breaking things. Meh. And Dipper's like, Mabel, we need to lay out some ground rules because this is ridiculous. Number one, if we're going to be living together in this room, no sleepovers. And she's like, what? You can't do that. If I can't have any sleepovers, you can't keep me up every night with your summer reading. And he's like, how could my reading possibly keep you up? To which we cut to him reading. He is reading The Sibling Brothers in the case of the Caper Case Caper. This is, of course, a play on the Hardy Boys.
And if you look at the cover of the book, it's a briefcase full of capers, the spice, or the herb. Absolutely.
But
really good.
Dipper's reading real loudly. He's like making, well, he's not reading out the words. He's just like responding loudly. He's like, gasp, Oh, interesting. But who stole the keepers? But he's being really loud and he's clicking a pen. And we cut over to Mabel, who's like, she's like holding a pillow head because she can't sleep. And Dipper decides, that he's embarrassed by this because he goes for a real low blow and says, well, at least my braces don't whistle when I breathe. And the low blows keep on coming because Mabel's like, at least I wash my clothes once in a while. Which Dipper responds pretty gross here. He's like, I'm busy. Washing clothes is a waste of time.
This is what I mean about the jokes aimed at a younger audience.
Yeah.
Again, they're not. That doesn't make them good or like not terrible. I'm just saying that's clearly what they were aiming for with this episode.
Yeah. Mabel starts meowing in response, sort of in a blah 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 tone. And Dipper's like, if you meow one more time, to which Mabel meows, and she's like, okay, that's the final straw. We shouldn't share a room anymore. And Mabel's like, what? Yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't. She looks kind of hurt by this. And they're both like, fine, double fine. Going back and forth, she's like, and Dipper's like, we're just going to go talk to Grunkle Stan about moving rooms. Yeah, it'll be real easy. And Mabel's like, yeah, he's a reasonable guy. We cut to Grunkle Stan, who's watching TV, and every channel he turns to, there's a fight going on. To which he's just shouting, fight, 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 to it, including baby fights. Which the baby fight is started by using a stick. But Stan's like, TV. It knows what I want. But the twins rush in and they're like, Grunkle Stan, we want different rooms. And Girl's like, and I want a pair of magic money pins. It's not going to happen. The only rooms are the attic and my room. So, figure it out.
Maple is incredulous with the idea of magic money pants.
She is. It's pretty good. But Grunkle Stan says, what? You think there's some kind of secret room hidden in the shack? No, it's not. Twish, there's a crash, and Zeus says, dudes, I found some kind of secret hidden room in the shack. Which is, convenient. We cut over to Zeus, and a door he's standing in front of. He's like, okay, so I was cleaning behind this bookcase, and boom, mystery door. As this old shack is full of weird secrets. He opens the door, and it's a room that is covered in cobwebs, of course, because it hasn't been touched in ages. Been hidden. It even has its own bathroom, which is crazy. Everybody's looking around as a rat runs through. There's a calendar on the wall with an owl that says 1982 and a pair of glasses. Mabel blows, I guess, a mirror of its dust clear and starts coughing. And Dipper notices the carpet, the rug in the room, labeled Experiment 78.
I don't think those glasses mean anything.
No, they totally mean nothing. That's why Stan picks them up and hides them away because there's no point to them. Not important. Not for
Experiment 78, that carpet, yeah.
But yeah, Experiment 78, this carpet. Mabel is laying down in it and she's just making a snow angel in the carpet. She's like, this carpet is amazing. And Grunkle Stan's like, yeah, if you're into terrible things. Dipper notices a key for the room, and Dipper's like, problem solved, I'll just move in here. And Mabel's like, what? Why do you automatically get the bigger room? Huh? We both want, to move out. And Grunkle Stan notices an opportunity. He takes the key from Dipper and says, wait, so you both want this room, huh? I guess I'll give it to whoever one I like the most. And he unties his shoe and says, uh-oh, looks like my shoe's untied. To which the twins quickly jump over it and try to fight each other to tie it. And the girls are like, haha, yeah, to the kitchen, fight, fight, fight. And they run away to the kitchen. Zeus stops the twins. He's like, I don't know, guys, this room gives me a major creepo vibes. The attic's a really good space, and maybe you should just appreciate what you got. But the twins run after Stan. And Zeus is like, no, what do I know? There's nothing creepy going on in this room. There's ominous music now as the Experiment 78 tag starts crackling with electricity. We cut to the twins in Stan's office, or no, I'm sorry, they're in the kitchen. And Stan's like, hey, look, whoever stacks up the hardest, you're going to get the room. And Dipper's like, we're not going to suck up to you just to get a room. And Mabel's like, yeah, we are. To which Stan's like, 10 suck-up points for Mabel. And Dipper's like, yeah, we are. And he's like, trying too hard. Negative 15 points. And Mabel's like, that's a great idea. That's a good decision, Uncle Stan. He's like, suck it up really hard. That's 50. That's 50 points in your favor. Like, he keeps going back and forth like this. He finally lands on, now, who wants to retile the roof in a searing 105-degree heat? And the twins fight over it. And he's like, perfect. He's like, Stan, you're a good uncle. In the background, the twins are fighting, shouting that they're going to kill each other while he's patting himself on the shoulder here. We then cut to the outside, and both the twins are mowing the lawn in the heat. To which Grunkle Stan say, Dipper, you're phoning it in. And he starts mowing harder. Grunkle Stan is watching from a couch. He's drinking lemonade. He's like, that's refreshing. 10 points of this lemonade. And he makes a voice like, thank you, Grunkle Stan. He's like, 10 more points for politeness. It's really great. My wife is laughing at me. But Dipper, we cut to Dipper walking into the secret room. He's like, this sucks, but it's going to be totally worth it to be inside this room, away from like sleepovers and stuff. Mabel's like, hey, don't get too comfortable. I just made Stan an omelet shaped like his own face. We cut over to the omelet. It does look exactly like Grunkle Stan. He's like, I've seen the face of beauty. And he starts eating it. And Mabel's like, face it, I'm like a suck-up ninja. This room is as good as mine. Dipper is walking around on this carpet in just his socks. And Dipper's like, I don't care what you do. I'm going to win this room, and when I do, I will finally have my own space, and we'll never have to share anything again. And he slaps Mabel's hand. Mabel's reached out to shake, but he slapped Mabel's hand. And the electricity buildup for the static charge just shocks between them, real powerful like, and they both get blasted backwards. We see Mabel, quote unquote, get up first, rubbing her quote unquote head, but what voice emerges from Mabel but Dipper's voice? Like, oh, my head. And we cut over to quote unquote Dipper, and Mabel's like, Dipper? Because her voice is coming from his body. And she's like, what are you doing wearing my clothes and my face? Am I in your body? And he's like, am I in your body? And they start freaking out and screaming. Which, I mean, I think Dipper got the better deal here. But that's just me. We get a scene of them like trying to like cope with being in each other's bodies. Mabel starts punching Dipper's body using Dipper's hands. Dipper is like rocking back and forth in a corner. They're just not having a good day. We cut to them looking at themselves in the mirror. In a mirror, Dipper in Mabel's body is like, this is just what we need. More Gravity Falls weirdness. And Mabel's like, as if sharing a room wasn't bad enough, now we gotta share bodies? Ugh. And Dipper's like, braces are horrible. It's like my mouth hates me. And what are these things messing with Mabel's hair? And Mabel's like, I want to know why you're so sweaty and awkward. Dipper notices the carpet once again. He's like, Experiment 78. An electron carpet. Atoms can swap electrons, so maybe this carpet must build up a static charge so powerful it can swap minds. It was a static electricity. Maybe we can switch back. Mabel and Dipper says, oh, thank goodness. I'm glad I'm switching back. If I was you, I would totally lose this contest. And Dipper gets the idea, and if I was you, which I am, I could sabotage you and get the room myself. Yeah. Then Mabel would lose all her points and the room would go to Dipper. Mabel's like, what? You wouldn't? And Dipper starts saying, hey, Stan, I've always hated you. Of course, he's in Mabel's body. And he's like, haha, let's see who gets the room now. I'm not sure why he's calling out loud, because as we find out, it's just his voice coming from Mabel's body, so Grunkle Stan would just hear Dipper's voice saying, hey, Stan, I've always hated you.
He doesn't know that.
Dipper runs off to go ruin Mabel's lead. Mabel tries to chase after him, but her shoes untied because Dipper never ties his shoes. We cut over to Grunkle Stan. He's like, man, those cannibals are onto something. I'm delicious. But Dipper runs in as Mabel, and he's like, hey, what's the word, Mabel? He's like, that's right, it's me, Mabel. If you like this omelet, you're going to love this. A sandwich I made out of rocks. And he's like, candy rocks? He's like, no, regular rocks. And he's like, keep that up, and I'll be giving this key to your brother. And Dipper's like, haha, I mean, darn. It's real weird.
Yeah.
This is when Mabel walks in wearing Dipper and says, hey, Grunkle Stan, guess what? Your face looks like a butt. And she's like, haha, breaking stuff is so much fun. And she like kicks the oven, kicks over some bottles. Dipper picks up a bowl of, a box of cereal, starts dumping it all over Mabel's body. Like, haha, crazy times. And Grunkle says like, this is getting weird. Dipper's like, hey, wait, don't you want to come back and dock Mabel some points? And Mabel's like, no, Dipper should lose all his points. We cut over to Waddles, who is loving this shag carpet, just rolling around in it, wiggling back and forth. And Zeus is vacuuming. He's like, oh, Waddles, no, wrong voice. He's like, oh, Waddles, you got it so good, bro. I wish I were big. You got no worries. I mean, nobody thinks it's cute when I lie on the living room floor naked and rolling around. Wish I could be a pig. And that's when he touches Waddles. Static electricity happens. And what wouldn't you know it? He's now a pig. He's like, yes, I should do more out loud wishing more often. Is that a corn cob I spy? And he jumps out the window. We cut over to Zeus's body, who is got Waddles' brain in it. And Waddles is just kind of doing pretty well for walking on two legs for the first time. But still bumping into everything. Quickly going to the snack machine, just licking the glass. It is a horror show to watch Waddles in Zeus's body. It's uncomfortable. This is when Wendy walks in and she says, hey, Zeus, have you seen my... And she sees Zeus's body trying to eat a shirt and just staring at her. Staring with unfeeling eyes. And she's like, you know what? I'll come back later. We cut over to Mabel, quote unquote, it's Dipper, looking for Grunkle Stan, shouting, hey, I've got more terrible things to do. You're toast, Mabel. The room's as good as mine. That's when he runs into Grinda and Candy, who are like, oh, there you are, Mabel. And Candy's like, yeah, attack her with love, because we're going to have another sleepover. And Dipper's like, oh, wait, no. And Mabel chases after them in Dipper's body. She's like, wait, come back. They get into the room, and Grinda stops Mabel at the door. And Mabel's like, do you think I could talk to my sister for a second? To which Grinda says, hey, this is a sleepover, buddy. No plays allowed. Which, I just want to say, Grinda doesn't live here. Maybe she shouldn't be trying to make rules like that. It's not her house. It's not good.
Yeah.
You're a guest. So she slams the door on Mabel, who's in Dipper's body. I feel like I just need to keep reiterating that. Mabel looks through the keyhole, and she was watching Dipper in her own body, saying, look, guys, I'm really not in a mood for a sleepover right now. One of my irrational girl mood swings. We have those, right? Which is a joke I hate. Greta says, come on, my mom's age-inappropriate romance novels aren't going to read themselves. She pulls out Wolfman, bare chest, and it's a image of a woman being held by a wolf man. And Dipper's like, maybe I should just, and that's when Grinda just grabs Dipper in Mabel's body and starts reading the book. She's like, my name is Gerard, but I'm a werewolf, a creature of the night, but I'm also a creature of passion, which is very disturbing for Dipper. But Mabel, looking through the keyhole, is like, Gerard's just so fierce. This is when Grunkle Stan discovers Mabel in Dipper's body, peering in. And he's like, so you had that creepy age where you spy on girls, huh? I guess it's time that we had a man-to-man talk about the birds and the bees. Grunkle Stan pulls out a book called Why Am I So Sweaty? And Mabel's trying to go. She's like, I really should be going. He's like, no way out of it. Look, it all begins with this little fella, the pituitary gland. He may be little, but he has big plans. Mabel starts screaming. We cut over to Zeus in town as the pig is like, I wonder what rollicking adventures I'll get into. A mud puddle. There I live out the cliche. And he jumps into the mud puddle and starts rolling around. This is when Old Man McGucket walks around the corner, just saying his name over and over again. And he stops and he's like, wow. Looking at Zeus in a pig's body. He's like, oink, I'm a pig. Right? Old Man McGucket pulls out a knife and fork. He's like, a free meal. And Zeus is like, oh, don't eat me. I'm a man, throw up in a pig's body. And that's what McGucket says.
They all say.
Yeah, that's what they all say. And he starts chasing Zeus. They run past Deputy Durlin and Sheriff Blubs as Zeus is screaming, help, police! Deputy Durlin says, a bearded witch chasing a talking pig! To which Sheriff Blubs says, man, my horoscope came true. And Durlin's like, now read mine. He's like, you're a Gemini, right? He's like, how you knew? He's like, of course I knew. We cut back over to Grunkle Stan closing the Why Am I So Sweaty book and saying, and now you know where babies come from. Mabel looks terrified. She's like, goodbye, childhood. And Grunkle Stan's like, you know what? I find you more likable than usual today. Maybe you could still win that game after all. I was gonna give that new room to Mabel. And Mabel's like, no, you should give it to Mabel, you big jerk. And Grunkle Stan's like, what'd you say to me? She's like, I said, shut up, old man. You're fat, dumb, and you're dummy, and take that. She, like, lightly hits him, and he's like, finally standing up to me, huh? I love it. You know what? I've made up my mind. The room belongs to you, Dipper. And he's like, no, you can't. You gotta get to Mabel. He's like, shh, you had me at shut up, old man. He was like, no. We cut over back to where Dipper in Mabel's body with the girls, and they finish reading the book, and Dipper's like, oh, thank God. And Candy says, now it's time for the 38 sequels. We then cut back to Zeus, who's like being backed down by Old Man McGucket, who's like, I'm going to turn you into bacon. And Zeus is like, huh, that sounds pretty good. Oh, wait, I mean, no! That's a good joke. I like that joke. We cut back to the girls who are playing Boys Only Call Preteen Edition, or whatever it was called. And the phone rings, and Grinda's like, it's him! It's my dream date! And she's like, picks up the phone, and a real robotic voice says, hello, baby. This is Kevin. My beach house has a room for two. Candy says, Kevin has the voice of a robot. To which Grinda's like, don't ruin this for me. She's like, it's your turn, Mabel, but Dipper's escaped. He's like, I gotta win this room. And he's like, hey, Stan, it's me, Mabel. I'm doing things you hate. And he tips over a end table and a lamp. And there's Mabel. And she's like, it's over, Dipper. Stan gave you the room. He's like, haha, yes, all right. He swings up his arms and one foot, recognizing that's a kind of girly thing to do, and quickly changes his posture. He's like, all right, well then let's just switch bodies and I can start moving in. And Mabel's like, wait a minute, you can't have the room if you can never get in. And she runs to the new room and closes the door. Which, now she can't get her body back. This is not a good idea. And he's like, come on, open the door, Dipper. I mean, Mabel. He's like, ugh. He's like, how am I ever going to get in there? That's when he gets a great idea. We cut back over to Grinda and Candy. Candy's on the phone now, and she's like, Kevin, for the last time, I'm not interested. And she slams the phone down. To which Grinda says, how could you talk like that to Kevin? Dipper walks in Mabel's body still, and says, hey girls, who wants to give my brother a makeover? Candy and Grinda are 100% on board. We cut back over to Zeus's body. Waddles is still in it. It is just lumbering around, knocking things over, climbing on top of the counter to lay down, and is now eating tissue paper. Grunkle Stan walks in and says, good, Zeus. You got a second? Times are tough, the economy or something, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I'm going to have to cut your pay. Waddles lifts Zeus's hand and puts it right onto Grunkle Stan's face, which he looks terrified about. He says, what are you doing? This is some kind of negotiating tactic? Zeus, of course, is saying nothing. Zeus's body. It's just Waddles breathing real hard and looking real wall-eyed here and drooling. Grunkle Stan eventually breaks and says, like, fine, I was lying. I'll give you a raise. Just don't ever do that again. This is when a woman walks in holding a match. She's like, could you help me? I'm looking for directions. Waddles sees the open door and runs out. The woman is like, oh, you're going to just show me the way? Such a gentleman. And she chases after Zeus's body. We cut back to the hidden room that Mabel has locked herself in. And she's writing a sign that says, no boys, /out, girls, /out, boys, ? Allowed. Which, I guess her plan was just to stay in Dipper's body indefinitely at this point. Real weird decision.
Mabel doesn't look. When you've done that, when you've drank that much Mabel juice, it's hard to make decisions.
Yeah, that's pretty true. But Grinda and Candy are at the door, and she hears them. She's like, "Oh, my friends!" She opens the door. She's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" "Oh, wait, that's Dipper. Don't let him in here!" And they shout in makeover, and they quickly attack Mabel with makeup. She's like, "No, wait, stop! You have to listen to me. No!" And they give a pretty terrible preteen makeup job to Mabel and Dipper's body. It does not look good. I mean, I'm not one to talk. But Dipper's like, good job, ladies. Now just let me add one final touch as he drags Mabel's feet across this carpet to build up a static charge and quickly taps Mabel on the nose, regaining his own body. He's like, my body! I'm a genius! He's like, alright, Mabel, the room is mine. Grinda's like, what just happened here? And Mabel's like, I barely understand it myself. All I know is if you shuffle your feet on the carpet, you can switch bodies or whatever. To which Candy does this and immediately pokes Dipper and switches over to his body. Dipper's scowl on Candy's face is pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I really like it. And he's like, oh, come on! And Candy's like, I'm a boy now. What's up, bruh? Let's go grow some mustaches. Mabel's like, Dipper, give me that key. And they're fighting. Grinda's like, stop fighting. She builds up a static charge. And they all switch bodies. And Dipper's like, oh no! Being in Grinda's body. He's like, but then again, I do like having muscles for once. It's pretty good. Grinda's like, now I have tiny doll hands. Because she's in Mabel's body. And Mabel's in Candy's body. It's like, Mabel's like, come on everybody, let's just swap back in 3, 2, and as they're about to touch fingertips to switch back, Zeus and Waddle's body runs in, followed by Old Man McGucket, chasing with a knife and a fork. And they all get switched. They keep getting switched. It's just arguing as Grunkle Stan watches more baby fights. The announcer's like, tonight on baby fights, tension rises between Madison and Avery at baby fight headquarters. The baby's just making noises, but the subtitles say, I didn't come here to make friends. Grunkle Stan is not pleased by like the loud shouting going on in the other room, so he turns up the TV where he can't hear them. Eventually, all the swapping starts. Grinda is in Old Man McGucket's body, and she says, cool, I'm Santa Claus. McGucket is in Candy's body, who is just happy to have his like innocence back. Dipper's like, well, I guess I'm a pig now. And he just flops over in Waddle's body and starts eating a discarded apple because he's done with this. Zeus is in Candy's body. He's like, this body's not that different than my old one. This is when Sheriff Blubbs and Deputy Derlin run in, and they get switched to Old Man McGucket and Dipper's body. Blubbs is like, my horoscope didn't say anything about this. Deputy Derlin's freaking out. He's like, what's happened to me? He starts running into a wall and starts laughing as he does it some more. Kenny's like, I'm a police officer now. Come on, Grinda. Let's go bust some perps now. Dipper once again charges Mable for the key. There's lots of fighting, lots of body switching, until finally, Dipper's like, Mable, are you? And Mabel's like, yeah, I'm me. And he's like, well, I've got the key. Haha. And he runs out. There's more switching in the background that we don't get to see. But, they run all the way up to the attic. They're fighting, like, Mabel, the room is mine, give it to me. And they're fighting. And she's like, what is with you? Why do you need this room so bad? I never even wanted to move out. And he's like, well, me neither. And she's like, what? Say that again. He's like, well, I didn't really want to move out. And she's like, then what is all this? He's like, well, everything was fine until you started bringing your friends around every night. I mean, hanging out with you this summer has been fun, but now you're always with Candy and Grinda, and I'm just left behind. She's like, oh, Dipper. He's like, it's okay. I've been having a hard time. You wouldn't understand what I'm going through, though. You've probably been feeling all awkward and sweaty, huh? He's like, yeah. How'd you know? Because, they've lived in each other's shoes now. Anyway, Mabel's like, here's his key. I won't fight you for it. He's like, wow, thanks. We cut to the outside of the Mystery Shack and then back into the Mystery Shack. And she's like, well, everybody looks like they're back to normal. And except Zeus, who may be permanently a pig. We cut her to Zeus, who's just chewing on a wall. He's like, oh no, I changed back. At least I think I did. And that's when Old Man McGucket pops up behind. He's like, I'm still going to eat you. Dipper shows him the door. But Zeus is like, hey, I guess being a pig wasn't that great after all, as Waddles walks in. He's like, here, let me get that spot you can never reach. He gives Waddles a great pet. The doorbell rings, and he walks out to see the woman who had followed Zeus's body earlier. She's like, hey, I've been thinking this over, and the answer is, yes, I will marry you. And Zeus is like, wait, I don't remember anything. And that's when she kisses him, and he just goes with it. Dipper, we cut over to Dipper moving into the room, and she's like, man in his own face. It's like, Dipper's like, yeah, that's right, finally. Girl says, like, what are you going to do with this thing? Pointing to the rug, and he's like, get rid of it, please. And he's like, yeah, you got it. This is an ugly carpet. But Dipper turns off the lights. He climbs into bed. He's like, good night, Mabel. Looking over, and of course, Mabel's not there, because Mabel's in the attic. But of course, Mabel at this point is saying, good night, Dipper, turning over and seeing that Dipper's not there, because he just moved out. And both the twins are feeling sad.
Yeah.
That's when there's a knock at the attic door, and Mabel's like, what? And Dipper's like, you want to have a sleepover? Mabel's like, yeah, I do. And she smacks an eyeball at Dipper and they start doing more golf. Dimmer smacks an eyeball. It bounces out of the room, and back out the broken window, which is still broken, which is great continuity. It's been broken the whole episode.
Yeah.
But it bounces out the window, and you hear Stan, "Ah! Why am I even out here at night?" Because it hit them again. We then cut to the credit scene, which is just Mabel and Dipper talking like, "Hey, so what are we gonna do with the room?" And Dipper's like, I gave it to Zeus, to make up for that horrible break room that he has. And do you know what his deal with that lady is? And Mabel's like, "I don't know." That's when we cut over to Zeus and the lady. She's like, "I don't know how to explain it, but you just seem so different." And she's crying. And Zeus is like, "Look, you're gonna have to catch me up here, because I was the pig most of the day." So what's going on? Okay, go we kiss? Is that still an option that's on the table? And they just kind of sit there very awkwardly. It's pretty good. And that's it. That's the episode. The cryptogram this week reads, "Puberty is the greatest mystery of all. Also, go outside and make friends."
It's pretty good episode.
There's 2 cryptograms.
Oh.
That first cryptogram actually appears in the Why Am I So Sweaty book. The actual in-credits cryptogram reads, "But who stole the capers?" A call back to the book that Dipper was reading. Not a terrible episode.
It was fine. It had a lot of good moments, but it had a lot of jokes that fall kind of flat. 4 out of 10, maybe.
I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, sure, 5. There's not really bad episodes of Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
There's just episodes that are less good.
Some weird trivia. The date on the calendar says Thursday, July 1982, but Thursday, July 4th, 1982. But July 4th in 1982 was actually a Sunday.
Bum bum bum.
Oh. There's also some continuity stuff with 1982 that happens in a later episode.
Yeah.
But, yeah. You got anything?
No, that's about it.
All right.
There's not much to say about this episode. It's just kind of decent.
Grey Delisle shows up once again to make a random voice. She voices the bandana lady who almost married Zeus.
Let's be fair, she almost married Waddles.
Yeah, she almost married Waddles. Yeah, that's it. So next time we're gonna watch Boy Crazy, which is about a boy band.
Which has
several times.
Which has the creepiest moment in the entire series for me in it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So hey, Doc, where can people find you online if they want to talk to you about stuff?
Oh, well, I'm on Twitter way too much. I'm at Dr. C Monster. That is at DRC Monster. Come and find me on Twitter, where I still just retweet random things. How about you?
You can find me, as always, on Twitter at DatFirePrincess, spelled D-A-T. You can find me on the numerous podcasts I do, like Let's Pull the Trigger on a Podcast, which is just this, but for everything that Studio Trigger has ever done, which was a mistake. This is a mistake I've made that I now have to live out, probably for the rest of my life.
I'm doing it all year, and we're only up to Gravity Kill episode 12.
I think there's only 26 episodes in Kill la Kill. Maybe less.
Yeah, we're halfway through the series.
Huh?
Yeah, we're halfway through the series.
Yeah, something like that. So, it was a mistake. I made a mistake, and now I'm living with it.
Look, it's gonna be fine. We're not. It's not. Studio Trigger makes good stuff, and the only problem is we're gonna have to watch Darling in the Franxx.
Oh man, we're gonna have to watch Darling in the Franxx. I'm.
Do you know Japanese?
So
Do you know Japan has a birth rate problem? Apparently they do.
I mean, who could have guessed? Who would have known? Anyway, since that's everything, remember, until next time.
Reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, Gold. Bye!
Bye!
What are we gonna do with that new room?
I gave it to Seuss to replace that horrible break room he has. Hey, do you know what the deal was with that lady?
I just don't think I can do this anymore. You just seem so different.
Look, dude, I'm playing a little bit of catch-up here. I was in a pig's body for most of the day. What's going on? Can we kiss again? Is that an option?